You remember when you were a kid and in school you always had that one kid that no matter what they did, they always blamed someone else no matter what? Well, this kind of reminds me of that kid, that one that said, "Nah, I didn't do it, I didn't do it." It was always something else or someone else's fault or something else. So let's read this. Iran denies it fired a missile to down Ukrainian jet. Calls for evidence. Multiple officials told NBC News that U.S. intelligence has evidence suggesting the jetliner was brought down by a missile launched in error. And most likely it does. I mean, they had a radar blip showing 2 missile launches, and shortly after was the blip showing the jetliner. Own up to it, Iran. If you did it, own up to it. That's your best policy. Going this route, you're just going to incense a few other countries. Let's read. Iran has strongly denied that a Ukraine International Airlines jetliner that crashed shortly after takeoff from Tehran earlier this week, killing all 176 people aboard, was downed by an Iranian missile launched by mistake. What's obvious for us, and what we can say with certainty, is that no missile hit the plane. Ali Abedzadeh, head of Iran's civil aviation organization, said Friday. Iranian government spokesperson Ali Rabiei, also speaking, sorry if I butchered that name, Ali Rabiei, I'm going to call it Rabiei, also speaking Friday, according to Iran's press TV, accused the United States of adding insult to the injury of the bereaved families by publicly stating the plane was brought down by an Iranian missile. No, the United States has publicly said that evidence appears so. Not that we have stuck our finger and said, you did it, but the evidence definitely does appear that it was launched in error. Multiple officials told NBC News on Thursday that U.S. intelligence officials have evidence suggesting the jetliner was brought down by an Iranian missile fired in error. Best policy on this one for Iran really is to own up to it. Just own up to it and move on. Denying it is only going to make things look worse and possibly escalate things a little bit more. Meanwhile, British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said Friday there was a body of evidence that an Iranian surface-to-air missile strike was to blame, and Justin Trudeau had said that his intelligence shows that it was most likely a missile strike that brought down the airliner as well. That would be Canada, in case you didn't know who Justin Trudeau was. But Abedzadeh said in a press conference in Tehran that if the plane had been hit by a missile, the crash site would have been more like that of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 that was shot down over Ukraine in 2014, leaving debris strewn over a huge area. Not necessarily. It depends on where the plane was hit. If it was hit on one of the engines and the explosive blast was directed towards the back of the plane as in motion, then it might not have been. If they are really sure, they should have come and shown their findings to the world in accordance with international standards, he said. Well, you didn't want to share the black box, but share the evidence with the world? Okay, the United States, Canada, and Ukraine are all saying that it looks like it was a missile. So why are you focusing on just the United States, Iran? Canada is saying it too, the Ukraine's saying it too. See, this is just all politics. This is all just pull the curtain, pull the wool over people's eyes, ignore the man behind the curtain. Just own up to it. Evidence says that you did. Are we saying definitively you did? No, but the evidence does kind of make it look like it was an accidental missile strike. At least I hope it was an accidental missile strike. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has also called for the U.S. and Canada to release any evidence they have. He has said in a statement on Facebook that the possibility that a missile was responsible for the crash cannot be ruled out, but cannot be currently confirmed. And that's kind of where we're at. U.S. intelligence did say that they had 2 radar blips showing 2 missile launches just shortly before the other blip explosion of the plane being hit. I mean, I don't know. The evidence kind of shows that, yeah, it kind of looks like it was shot down. Hassan Rezafar, the head of Iran's investigation team, told the same press conference in Tehran that recovering data from the black box flight recorders could take more than a month, and that the entire investigation could take as long as 2 years. 2 years! 2 years. Wow. He also said Iran may request help from international experts if it is not able to extract the flight recordings. Okay. Blame game. This is the tweet from Ali Arouzi. Iran's civil aviation says, must wait for results of probe. I agree. What is certain is that hashtag Ukraine plane crash plane was not hit by a missile. Plane was not hit by a missile. Obviously, plane was not hit by a missile. But we don't know. We don't know it wasn't hit by a missile. You can't say that. Called on U.S. to publish information it has. Called on U.S. to publish information. All happened in 2 minutes. Plane was on fire for 1.5 minutes. Okay. We still can't rule out that it wasn't a missile. And evidence does kind of show that it was. Earlier, Iran's state-run IRNA news agency quoted a foreign ministry spokesman, Abbas Mousavi, as saying Iran has invited both Ukraine and the Boeing company to participate in the investigations. Yesterday, the news that I heard was Iran was saying that they wanted to take the lead, which they are, all rules say that they are allowed to do that, but that they were not wanting Boeing or any U.S. company or U.S. government involvement at all. That's what they said yesterday. So maybe their tune is changing. Mousavi said it will also welcome experts from other countries whose citizens died in the crash. So their preliminary report states that from Thursday cited an unspecified sudden emergency for bringing the plane down. It said the pilot made no call for emergency assistance, but had begun to turn back to the airport before the crash. Yes, he did start to turn back towards the airport. It would be interesting because communication, for some reason, had cut out. Those planes are always communicating stats electronically, so I'm wondering why communication had shut off. Possible jamming? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. All I have heard is that the communication had gone out. That there was no communication from the pilot. Then again, you got to figure if there's a missile coming and the pilot sees this missile coming, you got to figure he's probably panicking. Maybe he didn't revert to training and call it in. I don't know. Any number of things could happen, but the evidence kind of just shows that it was a missile. Are we definitively saying it was a missile? No, not at all. But the evidence is pointing that direction. The crash came just a few hours after Iran launched a ballistic attack against Iraqi military bases housing U.S. troops in its confrontation with Washington over the U.S. drone strike. Yeah, we got it. The airliner could have been mistaken for a threat, U.S. officials have said, which I believe it was. I believe they thought that it was retaliation. The timeline fits. They're put on high alert. They've got itchy trigger fingers. Here comes this plane. They thought it was a U.S. warplane, and they shot it down by accident. Best policy on this one, just own it up. Own up to it. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose country lost at least 63 citizens in the downing, said in Ottawa, "We have intelligence from multiple sources, including our allies and our own intelligence. The evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by an Iranian surface-to-air missile." So Iran, you're kind of outnumbered on the people saying that the evidence is pointing the other direction. Own up to it. If it was you, your best course of action is to own up to it, ask for de-escalation, use it as an example for de-escalation, say, look, tensions are high, we need to de-escalate this, and de-escalate the situation. This could be a great out for Iran. It really could. They could save face, they could say, hey, innocent citizens, innocent civilians, this and that and this and that, they save face in their little sphere of influence, they save face around the world. It was a horrible accident. We didn't want it to happen. This is why we need to de-escalate the situation. And it could actually work out towards Iran's favor. But British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison offered similar statements. Morrison also said it appeared to be a mistake. All of the intelligence as presented to us today does not suggest an intentional act, he said. Which, no. I don't believe it was intentional. I don't believe they looked up and said, oh, look, there's an airliner filled with a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different nations. Let's go ahead and shoot it down. That's dumb. It was an accident. Iranian officials have consistently ruled out a missile strike, saying the plane appears to have crashed because of technical difficulties. Of course they're saying that. You know, this is just the kids on the playground. That's all this is. Politics has devolved into a bunch of kids on a playground. The same rules apply. Everything that you can think of the politics of playground politics is applying today. Own up to it, Iran. Evidence shows that you did. It looks like you did. It's not just the U.S. saying it. It's lots of different intelligence agencies from several different countries saying that it looks like it was accidentally done. So I have to go by what the majority of the intelligence agencies say, and it looks like Iran, you're guilty. Own up to it. That's what I got for now. Give me your like, give me your unlike, give me a comment, give me a subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.